Hello, everyone. Give everyone a minute or two here to get themselves added and connected to audio and everything. I see some people starting to trickle in here. I'd like to welcome everyone to hopefully the first of a series that Nathan and I will be running here about how Chili Piper uses Chili Piper. Obviously, there's a lot of phrases for that. There's the drinking your own champagne, eating your own dog food. I prefer the champagne one over the dog food one, but everyone has their preference. We're going to be walking through Distro today. Nathan is our product lead, so he knows this tool just about as well, if not the best out of anyone on our side. My name's Andrew. I'm head of RevOps Solutions here at Chili Piper. Really excited to show off this product. This is something that we use every day and really helps ops professionals. Without further ado, we're going to jump right into the agenda. We're going to go through just a very quick high-level distro overview for some of you who may not be as familiar. We're going to touch on the use cases for a solution engineer. If you don't have solution engineers or solutions consultants at your company, the same theory to the flows that we're going to be going over applies to things like looping in an onboarding team and an exec sponsor, a customer success manager, just pulling in or tagging people onto opportunities as they go through their flows. So again, if you don't have a solution engineer, just imagine it as if it was a process that can apply to your flow. We're going to actually do a build in the flow. Nathan's going to walk us through live in Distro and in Salesforce how those two connect. And then we're going to also do a deep dive on Distro so that you can see some of the really cool features that we have to offer there. The first thing before we jump in is I want to launch into a poll here. Let me just get this kicked off. Go to polls. Cool. You should be able to enter and see the results here. I'll let people have a minute to put their thoughts in. But what I'm asking here is just which part of the lead distribution process is the biggest headache? These are things that in RevOps we struggle with all the time. I'm curious to hear your opinion on which one is the most frustrating. Ensuring prospects go to the right reps for follow-up. You go to a webinar or you host a webinar, you go to an event, you have that list of prospects. You upload it, they might go to a queue or to an incorrect BDR for who the AE is. So making sure they go to the right reps for follow-up, creating those duplicate leader contact records, and you might have different domains, different company names, depending on how your matching rules are set up. Creating new lead records when matched accounts already exist. So this is a big one. If you have those target accounts that your AE is working, you don't want to create new lead records that might go to a queue or to a BDR when the account owner should see those records as a contact. Ensuring sales reps get notified with that SLA for follow-up. So again, you import that list. You're not sure how the reps will be following up, making sure that you have that process and that it's time bound and they set the alerts for that follow-up or all of the above. And we have a lot in the all the above category, which is understandable. The creating new records when matched accounts already exist is another front runner. Those are things that Nathan and I are really excited to touch on here today because the good news is Distro can solve for all of them. And that's a little shameless plug for our tool here, but we can do that lead to account matching and auto conversion. Nathan's done a great job of building out our matching hub with custom matching rules. We can merge duplicates as they come in, which is, I know everyone's biggest headache is duplicates in general. If you're managing a database, that's always a problem. So any features that we can, or any tools that we can use to merge some of those together is always appreciated. Setting those custom SLAs for follow-up, creating events that are assigned to those reps and sending Slack or email alerts. Those are all features in the Distro product. We're going to show some of those in real time today. And then one more overview for the Chili Piper platform. You all know the tech stack. So many different tools can do so many different things, but in order to have them communicate to each other, you need to build APIs or these webs of integrations to connect them all into one tool, connect all those tools together. The benefit of Chili Piper and Distro is that all of those are under one roof, so you can use the same account teams, the same triggers, the same routing rules across all of these products. And it's all bundled and well put together. Without further ado, what you're all here for is to see how we use these tools and these processes to make our ops world more efficient here at Chili Piper. So I'm going to hand it over to my friend Nathan here. If there's any questions in the chat, I'll be in there answering. So feel free to fire away. Nathan, take it away.
Thank you, Andrew. Hi, everybody. I hope you are doing well. My name is Nathan, and I'm a lead product manager at Chili Piper. I'm working on the product called Distro, which is the product that I'm going to present to you today through this use case that we are using internally to assign a solution engineer. But before we jump in, I'd like to talk maybe a bit more about Distro. What is Distro? So Distro is a product that we have here at Chili Piper, which falls into a category of product called a lead routing solution. Okay. So this is a tool that is mostly used to route your leads, but you can do like tons of different things with it. Today, we're going to show you a use case that we have where we use the opportunity object in Salesforce. And we're going to show you a use case that I built 3 years ago when I joined this amazing company. And I want to tell you a little story about this. So when I joined this company, I joined as the first solution engineer here at GE Piper. And basically, we didn't have any processes in place to assign the solution engineer. And when I joined the company, I started to receive some calendar invites from the account executive exactly. And I received these invites and I don't have any context before going on a call. So I received some invites from tomorrow 9 a.m. You have a call with this client, and that's it. And then my role was to chasing down the AE. What is this opportunity? What is the IRR? What is the product they are interested about? All of these questions. And I was like, there's probably a better way to deal with this. So I decided to create this own process. And I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I'm going to show you the process that I have created. It's a process that is using the power of Salesforce, using a Salesforce flow, but also using, of course, GPiper distro to assign the opportunity to a solution engineer. And I want to show you how I built this use case, how I made sure that this use case is built to be scaled up. And I want to show you like how everything works together. So let's start by, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the use case. So this is a Salesforce flow that I built 3 years ago. So this is something that I built. This is an internal process that we have here at GE Piper. So I'm not going to go into all the details of all of these nodes. This is not why we are here today. But I want to show you what was the main frustration. The main frustration was that I didn't have any context about this incoming calls. I didn't know what was the product that we're going to talk about. I didn't know what was the AR. I didn't know if it was an internal call with the AE or an external call with the customer. So I built this use case where the account executive, when they are working on their opportunity, they have access to a button on the opportunity called Request a Solution Engineer. And typically, when they click on that button, I want to show you what is the experience that they have, and I want to show you how distro plays properly here. So basically, they click on this button and they get access to this screen flow that I have created. And it's very simple because they are probably on the call with their client at the same time, so they need to do this process live. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible through the UX and also through all of the things, all of the automation that's going to happen in the backend. And typically what's happening is they go into the screen and they say, what kind of request do they need? Is it a call support? Is it RFI, RFP? Is it for a free trial? Solution engineers are doing these three different things. But let's say being asked for help on a call. So they're going to select call support. And then they're going to select what is the onboarding contact region. So let's say the client is based in New York and the AE needs help from a solution engineer. And so I'm going to select North America, East Coast, because I want to select a solution engineer that is based on the East Coast time zone. And you're going to select, he's going to click next. He's going to select, it's going to show up directly what is the name of the client, what is the segment, what is the stage of the opportunity right now, what is the IR amount. This is everything that I've built, which is part of our internal processes. And this call is eligible for an internal call, but also an external call. We have some validation logic in the backend. And typically what they do is they select, okay, I want an external call. So I want to have the solution engineer, the AE, and the client on the same call. And I can also provide the context. Why do they provide the context? Because after that, I also, as a solution engineer, being selected by the system, I receive all of this information directly from Slack. Let's say I'm the account executive, I'm here into that screen and I need to provide some context. I need your help, for example, to demo lead to account matching in Distro, okay? And they're gonna click next. And basically what's gonna happen, and this is where Distro comes into the play, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trigger Distro at this point. And how do we do this? You can see here that there is an action that happened here, which is, hey, check this box that is called SC assigned, check it to be true. And when they do, this is where distro comes into play. So we have a trigger here into distro. Typically, it's on the opportunity object. This is the object I'm working on, and the SC assign has been triggered. So the checkbox has been checked in the backend. And the whole system will do some check for some entry conditions and then use the right routing rule and assign the record to a solution engineer. This is typically what it's going to do here. So in my use case, I selected North America, East Coast. So it's using this condition here. If the onboarding contact region is North America, East Coast, then it goes to one of my solution engineers. And I have a distribution here for the solution engineer based on the East Coast time zone or LATAM. Andrew and I are taking these opportunities. And you can see now you are into distro, you can see all the power of distro. So who is next into the round robin, how many records they already received. We can do tons of different things here into the distribution. Like if, let's say, Andrew received like a spam record or whatever, like I can credit directly Andrew. And you're going to see that now Andrew is next into the round robin. I can also play with the weighting. So let's say I'm a new solution engineer into the team and I'm ramping up. So I'm not going to receive as many records as my colleagues. For example, like the admin can put me 25%. So you can see that distribution changed automatically and Andrew is next now. So we can do a lot of different things here, which is pretty cool. Also, something that is very important is anytime one of us go on vacation, so we are out of office, we have a direct integration between Chili Piper and the calendar. And we can detect directly who is out of office, which is pretty amazing because if I'm going out of office next week, for example, I'm going on vacation and an AE is trying to get a solution engineer on the call, I don't want to be selected because I'm out of office and it's gonna create a problem because the call is going to be like not next week, it's going to be like in 2 weeks, and then you have an opportunity to lose the client because of that. So what we want to do is we want to prioritize Andrew because I know that Andrew is going to work this week. So the system will automatically do all of these kind of things. Into that distribution, we can also add some limit. We can cap the number of records that a solution engineer can receive. This is very interesting. If you are using, for example, if you know that your solution engineer cannot take more than, I don't know, 50 calls a week, you can add a cap and you can reset this cap every week. You can do this kind of thing. It's pretty amazing. You can see here also that you have product licenses. So for example, Andrew and I are taking some calls from chat, from distro for concierge. So we have created just one distribution, but we use it across all of the different products, which is pretty amazing. So today, if you have one solution for lead routing, one solution for chat, another solution for scheduling, like it becomes very difficult because you will need to create your logic into three different places but also maintain this distribution between these three different products. And this is where it becomes also very complex because, okay, let's say Andrew received one record from chat, then he received one from distro, and then another one from another tool. Like it's becoming very complex to manage if you have all of these solutions that are completely not connected with each other. With Chili Piper, you have everything under one roof, which is amazing. And I want to show you that right now. So we are into the Chili Piper platform. You can see on the left side, you have all of our different products. You have Chili Call, handoff to pass a client from SDR to AE, for example. You have Concierge, which is our scheduling solution that integrates behind the form. You have Distro, which is our lead running solution. You have Chat. And all of these products shares some mutual assets. So you have the meetings, you have the rules, the teams, and all of that. Everything can be shared across our different products, which is amazing. I want to dig more about distro right now. So for this use case, what we do basically is we find a solution engineer and then we assign the solution engineer to the opportunity. We have a field on the opportunity called solution consultant. And anytime a solution consultant, solution engineer, call it the way you want, will be assigned, will directly automatically update this lookup field in Salesforce with the appropriate assignee selected by distro, which is pretty cool. So distro looks like this. So it's a pretty nice interface. So you have your trigger, you have your entry rule, entry conditions, and then you have your routing rule. You have the assign and update ownership node, which is the most important to assign the record. But you can do tons of different things. You can also update a field into Salesforce. You can create a task. You can add some SLA, service level agreements. You can do tons of different things. And you know what? So I showed you like a process that is currently running, but why not? Let's go into and create like a new router from scratch so I can show you how easy it is to play with this tool. So I'm going to go into our testing environment. I can play with the logic without breaking our old system. I'm going to create a new router, and I'm going to show you how we build this from scratch. So I showed you before a use case where you use the opportunity object to assign a solution engineer. You can use it if you don't have a solution engineer, like Andrew said, you can use it for assign a customer success manager, for example, which is a typical use case. But most of our clients, they come to us because they want to route their leads, which is the main use case when you use a solution like Distro. You want to route your leads because you don't want your leads to fall into the crack and being not assigned. You want your leads to be assigned to the account owner if there is a matched account. You want to do these kind of things. You want to assign your records, you want to convert your leads, you want to make a field update. You can do all of this directly into that interface. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay. So let's start with the trigger. I have here on the right side the triggers. So out of the box, GPiper Distro integrates with leads, contact, account, opportunity, and case, which are some standard object in Salesforce, but we also like integrates with any object in Salesforce, standard or custom. You have access here. You can see we have one custom here. We have this one that is standard. This one is standard. Also this one that is standard. For this use case, for this particular use case, I'm going to select the lead object and run through the whole use case. So I can then select my trigger. So let's say anytime a new lead is created, I want to use Distro to route this lead to the appropriate SDR or AE, depending on your use case. I'm going to select record is created, okay? And then, but I don't want any leads to be routed. I want to make sure that only the leads coming, for example, from a specific source are being routed. So I'm going to add what we called here an entry rule, okay? See this as some entry conditions before running. And I can create a routing rule, or I can use a routing rule that is already existing. Let's create a new one from scratch, okay? So let's say I want to route my leads only if they are coming from a specific source. So we can say like the source equals, I don't know, like maybe events. And I can start building my conditions. So I can use the lead object, then I can retrieve the source field, lead source field, which is a standard field in Salesforce. And I can say, okay, if the lead source is any of, this is my pick list. Let's say it's coming from events, or I don't know, like other campaigns or community, paid, whatever. This is just this source equals events or campaigns. And we're going to publish this. Okay, so this is my entry condition. The lead is created, then I check for this condition. If the condition is true, boom, I continue, and I'm going to route this record. So what are the different options that you have then? You have different things that you can do. First of all, let's say I want to check if there is any duplicates in the system. That was one of the different things that you had on the pool. Like you want to make sure that you are not double routing your records if duplicates already exist. So you can do these kind of things. You can use here the duplicate match option. And you can see it just added like two different paths here. One called lead to contact and another one called lead to lead. So what we're going to do here, we're going to check for any existing contact into the system. If we can find one, okay, then we're going to assign to maybe the owner of this existing record. If we cannot find it, then maybe we can check for any existing lead. It might happen that a lead already exists and it's exactly the same. You want to use the existing lead owner instead of assigning this new incoming lead to a different owner. So you can do this kind of thing. Of course, what you can do here is to merge your records together, which is pretty interesting. So I want to keep the existing lead and I want to override the fields. So this is very important. Let's say you have some information on your existing lead and some new information coming from your incoming lead. What do you do with that? So you have different options here. You can do tons of different things. So you can, for example, use a field update into Salesforce. Let's say I want to update the lead status. I can do all of these kind of things. You can add the lead to a Salesforce campaign. I can select the campaign member status, and directly this new lead is going to go as a campaign member. We can create a task into Salesforce. Let's say you want to be notified, you want to notify the AE or the SDR about this new lead. You can create this task, and it's going to be automatically assigned to that particular person with high priority, for example. We can do all of this. And then what is pretty cool, you can also convert your lead. You want to automatically convert your lead. This is a typical use case that you do in Salesforce. You want to convert your lead automatically. You want to create an opportunity automatically. You can do all of these kind of things. So I talked about like the duplicate matching path, but you can do all of these remaining actions. You can do it on any path that you create here into Distro. So I can create a routing rule, and I can do all of the different things here. Let's say I want to do, for example, lead to account matching, which is a typical use case. We want to route to the existing account owner. So we have built a menu here on the left side called the Matching Hub. And this is where the whole magic happens here at Chili Pepper to find the appropriate account and to route to the account owner. So into that menu, we have developed a lot of different matchings. So you have lead to account matching, you have the settings for duplicate match, you have match to opportunity. If you want to do lead to opportunity or contact to opportunity, this kind of thing, you can do it. Same thing for case. You can also match to a related lead. What is a related lead? It's when you have a colleague. So it's another lead, but you can notify they have the same email domain. So it's probably a colleague. So we want to route to the owner of the existing related lead. There we can do all of these kind of things. And we have here a custom matching. If you want to create whatever matching between two different objects, you can create it here directly from this menu. But I want to talk more about the lead to account matching because this is probably the most popular matching that is being used. And I want to discuss about this wonderful menu that we have created that's going to help you to match your incoming lead to an account. And how do we do that? We have different options here. Typically, we have two different algorithms. You have the first one from Chili Piper, which is the default one. And basically what we're going to do, we're going to take the email address and isolate the domain and extension. And we're going to try to compare that with any existing contact that you have in Salesforce. And we can also add an additional check here. I can check on the account object. You have a field called website, and I can also take the domain and extension from this field. So this is like a first algorithm that we have here. So it's going to help us to grab some accounts in Salesforce. The second algorithm that we have is the one from Salesforce. And it's very powerful to make both algorithms work together. Because here, with the default algorithm from Chili Piper, I'm going to try to find an appropriate account through the domain extension. But let's say you have some other use cases. Let's say your lead came from a webinar and the guy used a Gmail address, for example, which is typical. They use a public email domain. So you cannot do a lead to account matching when you have a public email domain, like at Gmail, at Yahoo. You cannot do it. So you need to use other criteria. For example, let's say I want to compare the company name from the lead with an account name. Let's say I want to compare a phone number with a phone number between the lead object and the account object. You can do all of these kind of things through Salesforce. And we use the power of Salesforce to do it. We leverage a concept that they have created called duplicate rule, but you can use this concept to compare a lead and an account together, which is pretty amazing. So let's say I'm going to give you a use case. Let's say it's john@acme.com. Okay, this is my lead. And I have a very messy Salesforce, and I have 10 different accounts that have @acme.com. So let's say the default Chili Piper algorithm found me 5 different accounts. And then the second one from Salesforce found me 5 other ones. So at this stage, I have 10 potential candidates. So what do I do with this? How do I match to the appropriate one? This is a typical question. You have 10 different accounts with the same email domain. Which one do you select? So then you have to filter and you have to tie break because at the end, I only want to route to the most appropriate account. So I'm going to use this system to filter and tie break. So see this concept here as a funnel. Okay, this is why you have this purple triangle here. It represents a funnel. So I have 10 accounts here at this stage. Then I'm going to filter with whatever criteria I want. And then I'm going to tie break. Okay, and we can use whatever criteria you want here. So I'm going to have access to the account object. And I can say, okay, for example, I have a field here in Salesforce called customer. And I think it's a checkbox that we have here. So I can say, okay, give me only the accounts that have customers equals true. So now from 10 different accounts, let's say I jump to 2 accounts. Okay, so I have 2 accounts that are customer equals true. Don't ask me why I have a messy Salesforce. And then the last piece here is the tiebreaker, because from these 2 accounts, I need to find one. And how do I do this? I select a tiebreaker, I create it, I do whatever I want. Let's say, hey, give me the account that has been created the most recently, or give me the one that has been modified the most recently. We can do all of these kind of things. You can add whatever tiebreakers you want, and you can add whatever filters you want to address your use case. So I talked about the lead to account matching. This is for lead to account matching, but you can do exactly the same thing for the lead to opportunity, for contact to opportunity, same concept. So we find the account. When we have found the account, then one account can have multiple opportunities. Then how do we find the right opportunity? We filter and we tie break. Exactly the same concept. This is the funnel. So we cover all of these use cases. We have match to case, exactly the same concept. One account, multiple cases. Which one do I pick? Hey, you have to define it here. And then here we have related lead, which is pretty amazing. So like I said before, you have 2 people working for the same company. I have this existing lead, Mary at acme.com. It's already into my database as a lead. And I have this new incoming lead, John. And basically what I want to do is, okay, if there is already an existing lead, I want to route to the owner of this existing lead. So the system can make a match directly through the domain extension, comparing the incoming lead with a related lead, with this existing lead. And then same concept, I can filter and I can tie break in case I have multiple ones. Hey, give me the one that has been created, last modified, the most recently. So I consider this is the most accurate record and I want to route to the owner. So I can do all of these kind of things. And then the last one here, custom matching, pretty interesting. This one is, I would say, is very advanced. Typically, any relationship that you have between 2 objects with a relationship that we call the one-to-many relationships, one object and multiple records. I don't know, like one leads multiple tasks, one leads multiple events. Whatever you have, we can create a custom relationship between these 2 objects and we can filter and tie break. So we use this, we have developed this for a particular use case that some of our enterprise customers have, which is sometimes and you probably have this use case into your company, you have enabled the functionality in Salesforce called account team. And account team is basically you have account team members, you have multiple members that are owning the account, if you want. It's a specific object in Salesforce that only shows up when you enable this specific functionality. And one of my clients came last year and said that he's going to start using this concept. So I built it for him. And what you can do is you can start by selecting, for example, the account object. And then I have access to all the related objects that have a one-to-many relationship. And account team member is one of them. I have one account, but I can have multiple account team members. And which one do I pick? That's the question. So this system will help you to do it. So I'm going to select account team member. I'm going to give it a name. Test webinar. We are on the 26th of February. I'm going to use this. I'm going to click next. And now my relationship is being created between these two objects. And now I can filter and tie break. Typically, when you have this account team member in Salesforce, let's say you use it, for example, when you have multiple people owning the account, have one CSM that is owning the account, one account executive that is owning the account, one SDR that is owning the account, like three different people. But I want to route to a specific person. So how do I do this? I'm going to add a filter, and you can see it's going to filter directly onto the account team member object. And I want to find somebody from this team that has a specific role. So you can see, for example, here we are using it at Chili Piper with these four different roles. We have the customer success, the SDR, head of sales development and enablement, and account executive. Let's say I want to route to the account executive. Okay, I have four different people, four different roles, but I want to route to the account executive. Now you can tell me, okay, but I may have multiple account executive into this object. Okay, so which one do I pick? Same concept. We use the tiebreakers, and the system is going to retrieve the most appropriate account team member. So here, for example, it's going to give me the account executive that has been added to the account the most recently. That's the concept, but I can use whatever tiebreaker that I want here, and I can use them, prioritize them the way that I want. Okay, pretty cool, huh? Maybe let's go back to Distro. We have a few minutes, Andrew.
Yep. Yeah, we can show some of the cool things that we can do like following those rules. So like the cadences and SLAs I think would be interesting. We do have some questions, Nathan, for these routers in the merge records showing how we can choose which fields to overwrite. And then with these records when we're doing these matchings, just the actual assignment piece of it. So how can we make sure that the lead goes to the account owner or the lead goes to the matched lead owner? Just walking through that as well.
Exactly, for sure. It's a crucial part, of course, it's to route to the account owner. So let's say in my use case that I showed you before, I checked for any duplicates. I don't have any duplicates in my Salesforce org. It's pretty clean. Everybody is happy. I'm a good Salesforce admin, but I may have a matching account. Okay, so I showed you, I created the configuration in the matching hub. Everything is clean. Now I want to route to this matching account. And how do I do that? So I'm going to create a rule, and it's a specific rule. We're going to call this rule CRM ownership rule. Okay, and I'm going to select this concept here, CRM ownership. And I'm going to call my rule lead to account matching 26. I'm going to show you how we make this connection between the lead and the account object, because by default in Salesforce, a lead object, the lead record is not connected to the account object. There is no connection between those two. So how do I make this connection? I can show you. So I can select the lead object here because it's my trigger object, okay, from my router. But then you can see here that I have some magic options here, magic lookups, I call them. And I can select here the matched account. Okay, so if there is a matched account found by the system, I want to route to the owner. And I'm going to select owner ID. So you can see that we start from the lead object, which is my trigger. We find the potential matched account here, and we route to the owner of this account. We're going to select here the ease in team. This is concept that we have here to make sure that you have all of your account executive, for example, into the team here in Chili Piper. And we're going to click publish. And that's it. I have now my lead to account matching that is ready. And my next step is to assign the lead to the account owner. So I'm going to select assign and update ownership. And you can see that by default, it's going to find the owner. Fortunately, I selected the wrong team. I'm going to show you with a different one. Let's say I'm going to select this one. Boom. It's going to update automatically. And it's going to select the owner from this team automatically and update the owner ID from the lead object automatically. You can update whatever fields you have in Salesforce, whatever lookups you have. You can do this kind of thing. It's pretty cool. Let's say I didn't find any matched account, which is possible. So you have a net new lead, completely net new. So you want to round robin these leads. Okay. So what you can do is you can create a different routing rule. And now instead of creating an ownership rule, I'm going to create a non-ownership rule. And I'm going to use some criteria. Okay. So let's say I route based on geolocation. Okay, typical use case, geolocation. So I'm going to select, for example, the state and province field in Salesforce. It's a standard one. I can say is any of, I don't know, like New York, okay, or whatever state you have here. I'm based in Montreal, so I can use Montreal, for example, New York, Montreal. And I can call this rule the East Coast rule. And I'm going to publish it. Very easy. Of course, you have access to any fields that you have in Salesforce, standard or custom, like whatever you have. You can play with AND or logic. You can add some groupings and do like different things like this, for example. You can do all of this. It's very standard, like you can play with your logic like this. What is pretty cool is when you have created your rule, let's say my rule is just this one, very simple. East Coast, state and province is any of New York, Montreal. It's not a state, it's a city, but anyway, gonna replace it by Quebec, so we make it we make it clean. What is pretty cool is now that I have created this rule and I have published it, I can use it for distro, but I can use it for chat. I can use it for concierge. I can use it for handoff, which is amazing. Like I don't have to recreate this logic anywhere. It has been created once and reused multiple times. Then the next step here is, of course, I want to assign this record. I want to assign this record through using a round robin. So I can use, I'm not gonna create it from scratch, but you get the idea. You can create the team from scratch. I can use something that is already existing here. Change it for maybe for another one. Yeah. Okay, so I have this team here, SDR, round robin, pretty basic. I can view the different team members. So I have two different team members here. I have Taina, I have 20. Like I showed you before, you can play with the distribution. You can do whatever you want. If they receive a spam record, you can credit them. You can modify the weighting. You can do whatever you want. Here you can see that there is a record limit that has been added to the distribution, which is interesting. And I want to show you like different options that we have right now. So for example, here you have the working hours, which is pretty amazing because, hey, let's say we receive this lead at 4 a.m. Sunday morning. Nobody is going to touch it till Monday, 9 a.m. So if I select assign during working hours, typically the system, what it's going to do is going to check all the calendar availabilities and it's going to check your working hours, the working hours of the team here. And as soon as we find somebody that started in his working hours, in his or her working hours, we're going to assign the record directly to that person. And this is pretty amazing. This is unique on the market, this calendar integration. We are the only one to do it. This helps us to do this assign during the working hours automatically. So you don't have to specify, okay, they are working 9 to 5. You do this through the calendar. And also, anytime they go on vacation, they might forget to say to the admin of Chili Piper that they go on vacation, but they will never forget to put themselves as out of office into their calendar. And the system will detect it automatically. So as an admin, I don't need to do this step of saying, okay, I know that this particular person is going on vacation during this day and this date. The system will take care of this automatically, which is pretty amazing. I can show you, for example, the SLA, service level agreement, which is pretty nice. So my record has been assigned to, let's say, Taina. She's the next into the round robin. But I have an SLA into my company. I want to give 2 hours to Taina to reach out to this new incoming lead. What's happening after 2 hours? I can check for some conditions. Let's say, and this is based on your use case, of course. Each use case is different, each business process is different. But for example, what we do here at Chili Piper is if the lead status didn't change after these 2 hours, if it didn't change from assigned to contacted, then I want to do an action. And here are the different actions. So for example, I want to reassign this record. And if I select this option to reassign the record, it's going to select the next person that I have here into the distribution, which is Twani. And she's going to receive the record directly because Taina didn't take care of this record, unfortunately. So now Twani is taking care of this record. We can do different actions. So we have the reassign. We can also send a reminder to the assignee. We can update a field in Salesforce. We can do all of that. But let's say everything is fine and Taina reach out after 25 minutes. What we can do here, we can do tons of different things. So we can do a field update in Salesforce. Hey, I want to, I don't know, modify the lead status. We can do this kind of thing. You can see that this is a pick list. It gets all the values directly from Salesforce. I can do this. Something I forgot to show you, which is pretty amazing. On this previous path, I have my lead to account matching. And some of you might want to make a connection or stamp the account ID that the system has found. And how do we do this? We do this through a variable. So you can use your field that you want to update. I don't know if I have one here. Let's find the text field that I have here. Let's say this one. What I can do is I can use a variable. And this is pretty amazing because I can have access to the matched account. And what I can do here is I can, for example, stamp the account ID, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to stamp the account ID, the matched account ID, at my lead level. So if I run a report in the future, I can see that, okay, this lead matched to this account, and this is the account that we have selected. So you have the ID. If you create a lookup, you can get access to the account, which is pretty cool. So we have the concept of variables, and you can use whatever conditions you want here. You can do all of that. Let's go back to the next path here. So it was for East Coast. I did a field update. I did an SLA. I can create a task. I showed you this before. I can add my lead to a Salesforce campaign. We have also built some integrations with SalesLoft and Outreach in case you are using one of these tools and you want to add your leads directly to a specific sequence. We can do that directly from Distro, which is pretty cool. So you can select your sequence. I have one here called Nathan Test. You can select who is the owner. You can see the sequence from Outreach directly from here. If I click View, it's going to open Outreach directly and show me the whole sequence. So you can do all of these things directly from Distro. And let's say you have the same concept for West Coast. So I'm not going to recreate this whole thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this path, this whole path, and I'm just going to change my routing rule and my team, and that's it. If you want to replicate these kind of things into a different tools, or if you want to do it into Salesforce, please don't do it. It's going to cost you a lot of time. It's going to drive your Salesforce admin or your developer crazy. You use a solution like Distro, you modify the routing rule, you create or you select one that already exists, you modify the team, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. All the remaining actions are here. They didn't change. It's always the same thing. And if you want to go live, you can just publish your flow. We have also one option that is pretty cool here, which is the preview flow. So you, of course, creating this kind of solution, you want to test before running live. That's normal, that's natural. You can click here into preview flow. You don't need to enable this, and so it starts triggering. You can click into preview flow, and you have here the preview mode. And what you can do here, you can paste directly a Salesforce lead ID, the 15 character or 18 character, the one that you want to use. You click on preview and it's going to go through all of the routing rules and tells you which one it matches, why it has matches. If it match, for example, the lead to account matching, it's going to tell you, okay, this is the account that we found, this is the ID. It's going to give you all of this information directly from this screen. All right. I think we have 12 minutes left. We're going to give a bit of time to Andrew to wrap it up and also like for some questions. Thank you for your attention, everybody.
Thanks so much, Nathan. I'm getting back to some questions. I see there's four open. If I don't get back to you before we close out, I will reach out to all of you following the webinar. We'll also be sending around an article with a summary of what we've been over here today, as well as a recording to everyone who attended and registered. I appreciate all of the activity and the questions and for everyone's engagement. And of course, big cheers and thanks to Nathan for walking us through these processes here. If anyone has any questions for us outside of what's been put in the chat, I'll be sure to stick around to get some answers in there. I see some new ones coming in as well. I just want to share quick our pricing for distro, and very when I say quick, very quick. So all of these features that we just discussed, which is quite a bit, is only $30 per user per month. So it's not a big investment. There is a platform fee. It depends on if you have products with us already. And all of our pricing is dynamic. So if you're already Chili Piper user, this could be even cheaper depending on how many licenses you buy and what other products you have. So not a major investment to get a lot of cool features and really save you a lot of operational headache for even if you're a sales manager, for following up with the reps, for making sure they go to the right place. If you're in ops, for making sure that they get your day is easier because all you have to do is import the list. So you don't have to reassign, massage the list before you import it, follow up with the sales leaders, make sure they go to the right place, make sure they're actually being followed up with. You can import it and you're golden. With that being said, sincerely appreciate everyone who hopped on today. If anyone has an open question and wants to hang on, I'm going to try my best in the next 5 minutes to answer anything here. But yeah, we leverage this tool all the time with that solution engineering flow that Nathan mentioned and went over at the beginning of this call. Just a reminder that can be used for any time someone is tagged on an opportunity or brought in as that kind of third party, even though it is internal. So solution engineers, you want to bring in onboarding when it gets to a certain stage on the opportunity object. You want to bring in customer success to be a part of that conversation before it closes and get to know that prospect. All of that is possible through the flow that we just outlined. So a lot of capabilities and a lot of potential there. But again, hopefully this will be the first of an ongoing series that kind of shows under the hood, more specifically, like how we are using these flows to touch on a lot of what we discussed today. But appreciate everyone's time hopping on, and yeah, I'll be sure to send out the recording. Thanks, everyone.